Hi, so this isn't really a planned video. I wasn't going to make this, but I've just been looking over the Times, and I think it's an important story to cover. Um, so the report is by Bruno Waterfield in Brussels, and this is from July the 9th. I'm just going to read it out. It's not massively long, so please bear with me. Again, the reporter is Bruno Waterfield. Rapper accused of shooting journalist. A rapper from Rotterdam is expected to be charged with shooting Peter de Vries, the Dutch justice campaigner and crime journalist, in an attempted gangland murder. Delano German, at Geerman 21, who raps under the name Demper or Slick, is believed to have fired at least five shots at de Vries, who was critically injured. The journalist was shot at close range in an Amsterdam street after making a television broadcast at half 7 p.m. on Monday. A car in which German was travelling was stopped on a motorway. The Polish driver, named locally as Kamil Egiert, 35, was also arrested. Police raided Gearman's house in Tiel on Wednesday night. He is said to have a criminal record and has links to the drill rap YouTube channel 101 Barts, that's BARZ, which has been accused of glorifying violence. The Geenstijl website, and I apologize, I should say, with Dutch names here, I could be pronouncing that wrong, posted a picture of German posing with a replica firearm. Egert also has a European arrest warrant against him for theft and robberies issued by Poland. Police are believed to be investigating the men's links to Radu and Taghi 43, the Dutch public enemy number one, and his gang. Taghi faces charges of murder, drug trafficking, and organised crime, and according to the police in 2019, made death threats against de Vries. In the past year, de Vries has become involved in the trial of Taghi, working as an advisor to Nabil B., a former gangland figure turned witness in the case. After Nabil B. went to the police, his brother was murdered. Nabil B's lawyer, Dirk Weersum, was shot dead in 2019. I don't know if Nabil B is a pseudonym. Spot where de Vries was attacked is covered with flowers and tributes to the man the city mayor described as a national hero, tirelessly seeking justice. The journalist is a fixture on evening television and a household name for his campaigns encouraging naming and confronting criminals. He sounds kind of like a Dutch Jill Dando in a sense. His work on cold cases such as the murder of the schoolboy Nicky Verstappen in 1998, Nicky Verstappen in 1998, and the disappearance in 2005 of the American teenager Natalie Holloway have been hailed for the breakthroughs, including securing convictions. His work on the 1983 kidnapping of the beer magnate Freddie Heineken was adapted into a Hollywood film starring Anthony Hopkins. 8 years ago, the man convicted of the kidnapping, William Hollander, was convicted of making threats against the Frees who had persuaded the suspect sisters to testify against him. Hollander was jailed for life in 2019 for his part in five murders. In five murders during the trial, he regularly denounced the Frees. So, again, apologies if I'm mispronouncing Dutch names. There's a few things I want to say about this. Firstly, I wasn't familiar with this journalist, if I'm being honest. His name's new to me, but by all accounts, he sounds like a very brave man. And I'm thinking there's some parallels where there with Jill Dando. Likewise, Jill Dando fronted an investigative crime program, Crime Watch UK, and she was shot in 1999. The case still remains unclear. Um, and Yeah, the other thing, I mean, for me, it's a reminder of the risks, right, that frontline journalists and particularly investigative journalists take, particularly when covering organized crime. But bear in mind, this was Amsterdam. This wasn't Mexico. This wasn't Tigray. This wasn't Iraq. This wasn't a country with armed conflict or even a country known for high crime rates. But the Netherlands certainly isn't crime free, and there is certainly a criminal underworld working there. In fact, when I first went to the Netherlands in 2003, the very day I arrived, I was staying with a host family. There was a gangland shooting, or rather a shooting, whether we call it gangland or not, in the city of Sittard. So, the Netherlands is famous for its laid back lifestyle, but certainly isn't free from crime. Um, so that's one thing, the courage that frontline journalists take. This shooting wasn't fatal, so I really hope that Mr. de Vries pulls through. It must be a very worrying time for his family. Um, but it's a reminder of the risk they take, exposing criminals. And this is by no means a unique case. There are other frontline journalists who do likewise. If I have an ounce of that courage when I'm a journalist, it's something to look up to, but it's also a reminder of the risks that there are. Now, the other thing I want to cover is, people might say that I have a fixation on this. I don't think so. Um, Police raided, I'll just repeat this. Police raided Gurman's house in Teal on Wednesday night. He is said to have a criminal record and has links to the drill rap YouTube channel 101 Barts. I checked out the channel and it's in Dutch, so I can't decipher the lyrics and so on. But if Dutch drill is anything like UK drill, I say it's poison. I mean, I don't see a single positive thing coming from drill music, wherever it is. I don't see a single positive thing it does for society. And frankly, I try to avoid generalizations, but show me one drill artist, just one, who doesn't have a criminal record. I think it's toxic, and I think that it encourages and glorifies a very toxic lifestyle. Now, you could argue that there's a lot of things that feature crime, right? So mob films, maybe even more mainstream rap and R&B. But there is something, and I've made this point before, about drill that is particularly damaging. I mean, you could have a Hollywood film about Al Capone. Now, Al Capone is very famous, right? I would argue that doesn't glorify crime in the same way that drill music specifically does, because with drill music, it's naming individuals. It encourages turf war. It's very localized. This is the thing about drill. It's far more localized in its context. So when you have people being named in a drill video, they're literally people who are going to be seeing that content, and then they're going to have to settle scores because they've been named in the video. It's designed to kind of humiliate gang rivals. I believe it directly encourages gang violence, and I think people who say it's just another art form are being astonishingly naive. Um, there's a picture here. It's a small picture. I'll try and show you of the suspect, and I should say he is a suspect. He hasn't been found guilty, but there's a picture. So you can see he's posing with a gun. I'm sure he's an angel. I'm sure he is completely innocent. Give him a fair trial, completely due process, all evidence, etc. But of course, being the Netherlands, he'll probably get a very light sentence anyway, even if he is guilty. Which I don't agree with. That's for the Dutch to decide. But as a testimony to Mr. de Vries, if he pulls through, hopefully he will, and if he doesn't, if he succumbs to his injuries, then well, I don't know what can be done. Certainly, his killers need to face justice, but it should be a reminder of the risks that journalists take and why it's so critical that democratic governments support them and support a free press. And the UK, we also have organised crime, and even here in Europe, where crime levels are generally much lower than other parts of the world, we have our problems. We have people in society that just want to hurt others. They're only interested in power, and they are ruthless. They will hurt innocent people to get their way. This guy was a journalist. He wasn't a gang member. He wasn't even a police officer. Not that that would justify it, but they shot him because they saw him as a nuisance. This was a man who was doing his job, a very brave man, a much bigger man than these dirty criminals are. Um, I hope they're found and punished. But my thoughts go out to his family. Yeah, I'll leave it there. But I just hope he pulls through. But yeah, I think drill music. Like I say, if someone could show me A single drill artist. I'm not talking about R&B more broadly or rap more broadly. I'm talking specifically about drill. Show me a single drill artist that does something positive for society, or rather doesn't have a criminal record, because I think this so-called genre is absolutely inextricably linked to crime. I think it's poison, and I fully support radio stations and so on blocking drill music because it is a bad influence on society. You might call that censorship. I think some forms of censorship are justified. I mean, for example, we would censor content deemed to be harmful to children, right? But what's the difference? I mean, if something is proven to hurt society, I think there is a justification for it being censored. Not because it's controversial, not because it might be adult content, but if there is empirical evidence that it's directly encouraging crime, and I believe the drill music is poison. I hate it, quite frankly.